Hey guys, we're back again with our edition of Spare Talk, and we finally got the Zoom going, so there's no more showing the two phones like I have in previous, and we have this gentleman to thank right here. EJ, you've helped out Pins for Pins in a lot of different ways, and now you're helping us out on the video technical side, so we appreciate it. So how's everything going, bud?
It's been going pretty good. I've had an opportunity since I've been home for, about 6 weeks now, I think, since we bowled the World Championships. It started off, we weren't very sure what was actually going to happen. So we just started, organizing the house a little bit, cleaning up. And then we realized, this is probably going to go along for quite some time. So we actually started remodeling a little bit. We redid a bathroom. We've are in the midst of creating an office space. We've put some flooring in, done some trim work. So it's just taking kind of like a room at a time right now until time runs out and we have to get back on the road. So I'm just going to keep working around the house, keep myself busy, and try to not go stir crazy.
I understand. You and I've talked several times and chit-chatted, off and on, and it's been a crazy time for me. What I usually do, I'm not doing now, and so it just seems weird. It just seems different, that you're not doing your normal activities. I know you being a professional athlete, it's totally different from me being in the secular world and working. Whereas I still do the technical and still do the operations part. A lot of it now is out in the field work, and I haven't done that in like 15 years. And I was telling you earlier, man, it's hard on the old back. When you get back when I was doing it, I was 41, and now I turned 54 soon. So it's a little different climbing water tanks now than it was 15 years ago. So it's just it's a different time and a lot of different things going on. So, but I know you'd want to be out, and we talked about this too. I know you want to be back out there bowling, competing and things like that. But you have a beautiful home that you and Natalie purchased. What was it, a year ago, January? And
it's actually been we moved in September of 2018, so we've been here about a year and a half now.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
But I remember, okay, it was in 19. I think I saw you in January. No, it was in February. I think it was in Jonesboro or somewhere around there. And I think from January to the time I saw you in Jonesboro, you'd spent like 3 days in your house at that time. So getting back to what we was talking about the other day, I know you want to be competing, but I bet you've had a chance to enjoy your home is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we really have. We got a little bit of land out here. We got 3 acres, and it's fun, having a little bit of land and a house, it keeps you busy. It's a full-time job. And for a year and a half, everything's been neglected. So all the projects we wanted to do, all the cleaning and all the organizing, it just keeps getting put off and put off and put off because we're never home. We're never home for an amount of time that we're able to do these projects. So they've just the list is piled over the last year and a half, and we're now finally able to, start checking some of them off. So it's been really nice. It's not a good situation to be in, obviously. But it has worked out. I've put myself to work, made myself useful to try to better our home and update it a little bit and bring it into the 21st century.
I've been talking to a lot of other guys, and of course, everybody knows that you're a golfer. But a lot of people don't know a lot of some of how you went from golf to bowling. So if you don't mind, just try to recap for everyone. And we've been getting several new viewers, and people have signed on to do a lot of our different things. And we, like I said, getting background stories. So just kind of update everybody and kind of give them a little general idea how you went from, golf to bowling.
It's both sports I've played my entire life. My parents have owned a bowling center since I was 5. So I've basically lived in a bowling center my entire life. So that's always been readily available, obviously any time of the year because it's inside sport. But as a youngster, golf was my first love. I grew up watching Tiger. Tiger came on tour when I was just 4 years old. So I've literally seen his entire career, and I admire like his work ethic, the way he approaches the sport itself. His mental fortitude is something that I've tried my best to mimic. To have the killer instincts and killer mentality that, when I'm performing, I don't want to beat you by one. I want to beat you by 100.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that keeps you driving, keeps you going. So I went to college for golf, and I played against some really good players. I think probably several players now that have actually won on the PGA Tour. One or two guys that have been Player of the Years, major championships winners. I knew I was a good player. I did well in Indiana, and I knew I needed to work to get better. But those guys are just on a different level, man. It didn't take long for me to realize like how much better they actually were than me. And I gave it a try. I went to college for 3 semesters, and driving back and forth from home, and I never liked school at all. It just mentally didn't work out for me. It wasn't that I couldn't do it, the sport. It is just for me personally, there was just too much. I was spreading myself too thin to be effective in anything. So I decided to quit college and go out on the PBA tour and see what happens. See if I can make this work. I always knew that I was a good bowler. I could compete. I thought that when I went out on tour, I thought that I could win. I knew it was going to take time. I knew there was going to be a learning curve, but I knew that eventually I was going to win. I didn't know what was 8 years ago now that I'd have 13 wins and have a Player of the Year, a couple major championships, and all the success that I've had. I didn't know what was going to come. I just knew at some point I was going to be able to win a tournament. I believed in myself that I could. And I think that helped lead me to where I am today.
Well, it's funny you said that because I was looking at, how Facebook pops up pictures on a timeline or whatever, time hop. It's funny. There was a picture of you and Sierra 6 years ago, and you'd only been on tour for 2 years. And that's when we first met you. Matter of fact, was in the Woodland Bowl in Indianapolis. And it's funny how time has, gone by as fast as it has. And we've watched you because, we became friends with you that day, watched you go from where you were then to, the major international superstar that you are, because, you bowl all over the world, and you're known all over the world. It's you certainly have mastered your craft, if I can use that slogan. You've done well. Speaking of bowling all over the world and overseas and everywhere, what has been the one of the most favorite tournaments, countries that you've bowled in?
Well, I've bowled in Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, Sweden, and the Dominican Republic. Every single place that I've gone to has something that I like about it. But the place I do enjoy going the most is Japan. I absolutely love going to Japan. The countryside is beautiful. The food is amazing.
Right.
And everyone there, the people are just they're in love with bowling.
Right.
It's a nationally recognized sport in Japan, and when you show up, you feel like you're an athlete and that you are a superstar when you're in especially in Asia, not just Japan, but it's really cool to get that sort of treatment, because bowlers there are actually nationally known and well respected. Like maybe like a basketball player is here in the States. So it's actually really, really cool to feel that way and to see the people, interact with you in that manner. But yeah, Japan's probably my favorite place to go.
Well, with you saying that, because that was something else I was wanting to discuss with you and talk to you about. Um, are you surprised that that the bowling didn't get into the Olympics, especially when the host country gets to choose an additional sport?
Mhm.
I knew when it didn't get voted in, as far as the International Olympic Committee putting it together, I thought, well, with it being in the Asian continent, with it being in Japan, and it being so big there, I thought this would be the outside sport that they're going to bring in, and they didn't do it. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I mean, it made
It made the cut
the
like twice. Is that correct?
yeah, I think it made it through like the final stage of what sport they were going to pick. But I was actually very hopeful. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that we had a real chance at getting in for this year. Obviously, it wouldn't have happened anyway, but I thought we had a chance. Yeah, I was disappointed. I thought that having it in Japan, in Tokyo, is probably one of the best places in the world for bowling to get in the Olympics as a sport. Um, so I'm not sure what will happen from here. I think bowling is getting bigger. I think that's probably the closest bowling's come, at least of my knowledge, to actually getting in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And bowling is reemerging. It is becoming nationally and globally something people want to watch and want to be a part of and want to do. So I think even 4 years from now, 8 years from now, I think over time our chances are getting better and better at actually getting in the Olympics. And as the sport reemerges and gets more popular and more widespread, I don't think the location or destination is going to be as much to play in whether we get in the Olympics or not, as just the sport itself being so popular.
Do do you think with Fox coming on board with the PBA, Bolero buying the PBA, that certainly is going to help catapult this, especially in the United States, the growth of bowling. As a youngster, I remember bowling being on for like 36 to 40 weeks a year, every Saturday afternoon. I mean, it was just constantly every Saturday afternoon. And it seems like since Fox has come into play, and like I said, Bolero has come into play, it seems like it's getting better, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It started with Fox right at the end of 2018. We had that the PBA Clash, the first one of its kind
Mm-hmm.
in uh, down at Kegel in Florida, and it's taken off since. Fox has done an absolutely fantastic job with the broadcast. They've invested a lot of time, effort, and money into our tour, which I can't thank them enough for that. And then with Bolero purchasing the PBA Tour last fall, and everything that Coley and her team has done has been awesome so far. And I'm really excited for the future of professional bowling as well as recreationally side. Obviously, my parents own a bowling center, so the better the recreation side can get is obviously it's going to be better for my parents and my family. But I think the professional side of things, I think, has a huge potential at this point in time. I know over the past several years, a lot of different sports have had, I think they had like lockouts and whatever in other sports, and I think people maybe tired of the propaganda of that
Right.
sort of thing and are maybe searching for something else. And bowling might just be that answer for that. So I think there's a market of people that bowling could reach and actually um, have dedicated lifelong fans of the sport. So again, like I said, I see huge potential for us and for the tour. And only time will tell to see what happens. But like I said, Fox and everybody at Bolero and Coley have done a fantastic job so far, and I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for us and for the tour for bowling. And I'm just really excited to see what the future holds.
Before I let you go, because I know you have some other things going on, a couple of things I wanted to get your perspective and your thoughts of. Uh, I mean, it's no secret. I've been privileged to sit with your family and sit and watch you in different venues. Sit behind your dad during the doubles and the crowd reaction, hometown boy, all that. I mean, it was a great environment that night. It was just absolutely just unbelievable. And then a couple weeks later, I'm sitting in the family room and we're watching you in Vegas. Um, it, it, it was nobody there. So no crowd noise, no cheering, because you're one of the top favorites any town you go in, and you know that. But what I want you to reflect on, not so much the bowling, but how the atmosphere was coming out of Indianapolis, and then a few weeks later with everything happening, and you're bowling, and there's I don't know. I think your dad flew out. I think I may have saw your dad there.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And then I talked to Chris By. I think his mom,
Mm-hmm.
Belmo's family was there. But you go from a standing room only crowd in Indianapolis that night to maybe with the exception of the Fox the Fox executives, the folks there, PBA folks, you had maybe 10 people there. How did that feel? I mean, that had to be kind of odd, right?
It was really weird. It was obviously we're used to having fans down the left side of the lanes,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing them, and sometimes on the right side as well, and production crews and everything like that. It was definitely weird. During matches, the crowd can really help motivate you, maybe put pressure on your opponent when maybe you throw a strike in a crucial moment, um, make a split conversion.
Right.
Those two instances can really help along a match and maybe shift momentum. And this time we didn't have that, so you had to kind of create the momentum yourself. I bowled a really bad game, but even in the middle of the game, I switched balls after the commercial break and started throwing a couple strikes, and knowing that if I struck out, Anthony also had to throw a double
Mm-hmm.
at some point to beat me. So I'm like, well, maybe I still have a chance here. So I was just trying to motivate myself. It was all I was doing. I was just focused on the task at hand. But it was definitely weird, and it's something that I personally don't ever want to have to experience again. Through that experience, I learned that I do really enjoy having the crowd there and being able to use their energy and play off of their enthusiasm. And I hope this is something we never have to do again, because having no crowd there it wasn't much fun.
Well, we certainly sitting there watching it, you could tell it had effect on not only you, but it seemed like it had effect on everyone. Because you used to someone making a shot and people cheering, and you guys were just making a shot and you turn around and sit down. It wasn't. It's not the normalcy that you used to see. You usually see on a Sunday afternoon. Like I said, I've been fortunate to come and watch through midweek, and that's the way a lot of it is midweek. Is you guys make a shot and you come back, you sit down, or you speak to your family, you speak to friends. You're keeping yourself occupied, but still got your mind on the game. But it seemed like it would have seemed like it was just, I mean, everything behind was just dark. There was no lights. There's no cheering. There's no, it just didn't seem like a real match. If I could, from my perspective, I mean, it just didn't seem right.
Yeah, it still was for us players, but
right.
For people watching at home, it probably did feel that way.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And it sucks, but
right.
Hopefully we can move through this and like I said, never have to do something like that again. Hopefully we can have crowds in droves show up and you can't get in the building. And that's as players what we really enjoy having.
Well, I'm going to end it with this because you speak of the groves of the crowds. I was going to go from one to the other. Now let's fast forward to Maine, to where you go from the normalcy crowds of like like Jonesboro, Indianapolis, all these other places, and then you go to the quietness of Vegas, and then hopefully everything gets straightened out in time. July I think it is, and you guys are in Maine. So you're going back into that wild and crazy atmosphere that you guys feed off of. It puts a smile on your face. I know you're excited about that. That came into play, in 2015, 2016, wasn't it? That you guys went to Maine for the first time, right?
2015 was the first time we were there, yeah.
And there's been nothing like it since.
No.
Do you think that it would be possible if you had that in different parts of the United States? Do you think that could be a reality one day, or do you think that's just going to be just strictly in Maine? You see what I'm saying?
I think it would be. I think it'd be really cool to have like a PBA league tour where we go to different cities.
Right.
I think that'd be awesome. But they have the different cities would have a huge bar to reach and step up to with what's been set in Portland, Maine. I mean, those people up there, they're borderline crazy, and we love it. Right. It's awesome, man.
Right.
Everybody up there is just they're so cool. I mean, even the first time we were there, we showed up and it was just it's different there. It's so hard to describe. We showed up and we were able to just have some drinks and hang out with everyone. They're like, "Oh yeah, cool. What's up? How, like, you want to play golf?" Like, it was just so different than what we're used to.
Right.
And when we did those shows for the first time up there, I was like, "Holy crap! What is this place?"
Yeah.
It's just a different vibe. It's a different vibe there, and it's something that hasn't been even close to replicated of anywhere that I've seen yet. I think it could. I think it could. But like I said, there's a very, very high bar that's been set by Portland, Maine. And if the tour did do something like that, the cities that we're going to needs to go back and watch some old footage and try to one up them. It's going to be hard. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they need to try.
Well, that's something that you and Ronnie always say. Hey, you and the Colonel got to come to Maine. You just got to come to Maine and just take it all in. And surprisingly enough, that was one of the ones that we were looking to surprise you guys this year. With everything, when you guys are in there and just come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, surprise," But going back to what you said a while ago about how Fox has really come in and how recreation bowling is getting back stronger and how the tour is a lot stronger than it was several years ago. Who knows? It may take a couple of years. Like you said, the bar is really high, but who knows? You may see you guys in Detroit with the Motown. You may have you may have a strong fan base in one of the many centers that are historic centers there. That may not be nothing like Portland, but it may be something similar to where you guys could start maybe having this throughout the United States. As you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I think that would be awesome. I think that's possibly could be the goal of Coley and them. I'm not 100% sure. I hope so, because I think that would be really, really cool to be able to travel around to different cities and do the same sort of thing that we do in Portland, Maine, all over the country. And hopefully, eventually, maybe we could even do it all over the world, because that would also be very, very cool to be able to travel to different countries to do that. Who knows? Sky's the limit at this point.
Exactly. Before I let you go, how's Mr. Ed doing?
He's doing okay. He's still got a little back problem. he's been waiting. Obviously, during this time, the hospital has been shut down and such. So he's going to get some injections in, and hopefully it helps it out. If not, then the next stage is going to be surgery, and it might take him out for 3 or 4 months. But I just want him to feel better and be able to move around and bowl and play some golf without being in pain all the time. So
Exactly.
hopefully the next step alleviates some of that.
Well, it's certainly in our thoughts and prayers for someone who has that, lower back, hip pain. Myself, he and I shared and talked about some things when we was in Indianapolis, and he and I share some of the same, back problems, and so hopefully hopefully gets back on the right track before long. That's for sure.
I hope so.
Mom and Zach doing okay?
Yeah, everybody else is doing pretty good.
I know Nat's doing well. She's keeping you busy, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, everybody's doing good. I think we're all just anxious to get back and do some bowling.
Yeah. Well, with this going on, see, we've had to cancel our Striking for Success clinic. This would have been the fourth time you guys would have showed up in the third year in a row, because one time you guys came 2 times that year. So yeah. I know the guys over in Huntsville were bummed about it, but it's all going to go away, and we may not get you guys depending on how the tour. It may be later in the fall. It may be next spring. But you got a place. Your second home's in Huntsville, Alabama. You know that. So
yes, sir.
Anyway, listen. Hey, I appreciate everything you do for Pins for Pins. The stuff real quick that you donated, we were able to do the raffles and do the auction. We generated enough money to give away an extra book scholarship this year. So we're giving away 3 book scholarships to worthy seniors. And I certainly appreciate you donating your items and us allowing to do that. We've got some very, very talented young people that we're going over the actual resumes right now. But certainly with you donating and like I said, supporting what we do here at Pins for Pins and P4P Bowling, you certainly contributed to that. And on behalf of the winners, I certainly do appreciate everything that you do. And I appreciate you, like Ronnie said, we went from fans to friends to family. And I certainly appreciate you being a brother and helping us out.
No problem. Anytime.
Brother, you be safe. Guys, this has been Spare Talk, and we've had the fortunate time of speaking with EJ Tackett, longtime friend and close family brother now, as we consider him. Tune in again. We'll be doing some more in the next several weeks. I'll be posting who we're doing next. But make sure you follow EJ on all of his social media. Look at his house. Look at all this improvements on his house. Send him a thumbs up, because I know he's been working hard doing it. And EJ, I certainly appreciate everything you do and helping us get going with the media as well. So you stay safe, brother, and we'll be talking, chit-chatting later on the other side. Okay?
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thank you, EJ. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.